A special presentation from the KTVB Newsroom. Bronco Roundup Game Day starts now.
It is game day once again in the City of Trees. Boise State hosting the Wyoming Cowboys this afternoon on the Blue. We are just an hour away from kickoff between the Broncos and Cowboys. Boise State, a dominant effort all time against Wyoming. We'll see if they can continue that today at home here inside Albertsons Stadium. A near capacity crowd expected. As of this morning, 35,000 tickets out for today's ball game. About 1,300 shy of a sellout. We'll see if they can make up the gap between now and kickoff. Welcome on in to Bronco Roundup Game Day. Tust alongside Brady, Frederick. It is good to be back on the Blue following a bye.
Yeah, it is, and following the bye week might have came at the best time for Boise State. They need to see a big turnaround for the second half of the season, the final 5 regular season games, if they want to see a 6th game, a bowl game in the postseason.
This is our digital-only show airing on KTVB.com as well as KTVB+. If you joined us this morning, you got a lot of this information already. What we're going to show you that's unique to this show, though, is the players warming up on the field, an exclusive look that you will only get with KTVB, Idaho's News Channel 7. We'll give you some injury updates. I'll start off with one. George Halani already out on the Blue, warming up with the running backs. It looks like Boise State in some capacity is going to get one of their best offensive weapons back this afternoon. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. The Wyoming Cowboys 1 win away from attaining bowl eligibility. They'll try to get that win this afternoon. Meanwhile, the Broncos need at least 3 wins in their final 5 contests to get to the postseason. We'll have more on that in a moment. As you can see, the Cowboys aren't going to blow you away, especially on offense. A big reason for that, though, is that they have one of the slower, more deliberate tempos on offense in the entire country. Only 2 teams have ran fewer offensive plays in the FBS than the Wyoming Cowboys have. As for Boise State, the Broncos are trending in the right direction on offense, but on defense, well, they are still one of the worst units statistically in all of college football. You know, with the way the season has gone so far, you can probably imagine the head coach, Andy Avalos, is starting to take some heat from Bronco Nation. 33 games into his tenure, he is just 20-13. I want to show you this next graphic because it breaks it all down with Avalos against some of the other former Boise State great coaches. As you can see, Andy's 13 losses in 33 games, more than Chris Peterson had in 104 games. It's more than Dan Hawkins had in 64 games. I want to draw your attention, though, to the right side of the screen and that winning percentage on the Blue. Andy's winning at about a 625 clip, but that's well below what some of his predecessors have won at here at Boise State. It's safe to say that we are approaching the moment of truth in the Andy Avalos era, and as we do, his players say they have his back.
When I talk about the brotherhood and the cohesiveness, it starts at the top. It's coaches, it's all staff involved, and you know, a lot of the times things that go wrong, he's the guy that takes a lot of the heat for it. It's unfortunate, but he's a guy that leads by example. He's a guy that's going to go through the suffering with us. And when things go wrong, he's going to stand in front of the cameras and take a lot of the heat for it.
For all the fans out there and all that, that's on me, number one. Whether it's offense, defense, special teams, or the players, that's on me.
It's hard for us in our limited opportunities to vocalize like how much we appreciate that, because I can make a mistake and blow coverage, and then in the grand scheme of things, it ends up the difference between a win and a loss. But he's the guy that's got to go stand, and you know, people from the outside talking this and that about fault, and it's going to end up on him. But like, I know that, you know, he's the one taking the blame for, you know, my mistake.
You know, our record isn't where we want it to be. It's not the standard. I know that more than anybody. But the reality is you know, we're 6 points off from being 6-1. So now it's time to find that. Where is that gap from those 6 points?
Doing our part and just finishing ball games and just playing consistent. Like, consistency, he's been preaching that, because if we're just consistent, we'd be in a lot different boat than we are right now.
The fact of the matter is, coaches can't be between the lines on the game day. So as players, there's a lot of things that we need to correct, and we have been correcting over the last 2 weeks, that we're going to do better going forward. But I think it's unfair, some of the blame that gets placed off of things that happen in the game on the head coach's shoulders. See that, and you feel a little guilt to yourself and amongst the team. And we got his back, and I know he's got ours.
I'll have their back every single day of the week.
We're going to, finish the season out right.
So let's take a look at what Boise State has to do to get to bowl eligibility. It starts with a win today because they are going to be an underdog at Fresno next week, and then on the blue on Black Friday against 19th ranked Air Force. According to ESPN's Football Power Index, Boise State has a less than 50% chance to win each of those games. As you can see, a trip to Logan not going to be a gimme either. FPI says that the Broncos have about a 56% chance to win that game. The most likely record for Boise State when all is said and done is 6-6, which would be enough to extend this season to a bowl game. We'll see if the Broncos can get there. One thing that's notable to me though, Brady, the Broncos just a 2.9% chance of winning out. There's only 5 games ahead of them. Back in the day, they'd have a 2.9% chance of winning when the season started and running the table. This team's just a little bit different, obviously.
And the thing about this team, though, there's still a feeling of optimism surrounding the program. I mean, yeah, they most likely, according to ESPN and all the indexes, is that they go 6-6.
Yeah.
They think they can win out.
Well, it starts with a really tough task today. Craig Bull has done a great job ever since he arrived in Laramie. He was an FCS multi-time national champion at South Dakota State, brings his talents to Laramie, and they are so deliberate and they are so consistent that they are almost boring, but what that means for them is the exact brand of football they want to play.
And even with this surge of success they've seen in the Craig Bull era, Boise State still has been extremely successful historically against Wyoming. 16-1 all time, with the exception of that heartbreaker in Laramie about 6 years ago. That's a winning streak now that the Cowboys are coming in and trying to snap. They've also, I should mention, never beat Boise State out on the blue. Last year, it was also a thriller. Boise State safety J.L. Skinner came down with back-to-back interceptions to put Boise State ahead and help them hold on to a 20-17 win. Although the defense shined in that one, when we spoke with the Cowboys back at Mountain West Media Days, Bull and his team are really focused on the Boise State offense. They told us year in and year out, BSU has an elite running game that's going to give their defense problems. And that's only gotten more difficult to contain after they added Taylon Green as a dynamic threat to run their offense.
They've had a great combination, Brady, of having skilled players along with some schematic things that are challenging, but then more so a physicality too. They can run the ball at you hard, and so all those combinations make it extremely tough. A lot of it starts at quarterback. Once they made that change, you just saw him. I mean, it was dynamic play after dynamic play.
You just got to really try to take away what you can take away. You can't stop it all, especially with the dual threat quarterback action, but you always got to have something on it. So it really just, you got to be really disciplined when it comes to stuff like that.
And playing on the blue is tough as well. Coach Avalos has done a great job, and their offense certainly is a challenge for us.
In the past, they've been the top dogs of the Mountain West and really college football, and so I think they'll always be a good team, a really good team that's always in the run for the championship. I think we just have to prepare well and play well.
As you can see, programs from around the Mountain West still have a ton of respect for Boise State, despite the fact they're having a little bit of a down year this year, Brady.
And I think it's a good thing to look at what happened last year. They thought that was a down year for Boise State. Turns out it was a runner-up finish in the Mountain West Conference and a bowl victory. And Boise State still in control of their own destiny. So if they can turn things around, there's a good shot that other teams around the Mountain West, who hate losing to Boise State year in and year out, are going to be shocked to find out that BSU could once again pull this thing off.
Right? I know we got some live shots of the guys warming up on the field. Again, this is an exclusive look that you will only find on KTVB, Idaho's News Channel 7. Jonah Dalmas, potentially a big day for him coming up, Brady. Jonah has made 65 field goals in his career. That leaves him just 2 shy of the school record. Another thing about this, I know that Jonah is competitive, is going to be playing with a bit of a chip on his shoulder today. In the preseason, Wyoming's kicker was named the first team All-Mountain West kicker. And I got to say, I know that did not make Jonah happy, especially given Jonah's track record. And so today, the competitive fires will be burning as Jonah chases history here at Boise State and also tries to one-up the kicker that won up to him in the preseason.
Yeah, you love to see that. I mean, you know, they block out all the preseason awards, but it is nice to think that the hometown kid could have a chip on his shoulder and come out with a little something extra to prove. I mean, we know he's going to break the record eventually. This would be a nice day to do it, though.
It would be a great day to do it. Earlier today, Kekala Kaniho, a Boise State legendary defensive player, joined us on the pregame show. We talked defense. We talked about Andy Avalos. I suggest that you go over to KTVB.com once we wrap up here, because those interviews are something you can watch, and you're going to want to see his insight on Andy Avalos and the defense for that matter. His little brother getting a big-time honor today, though. Kadnoe Kaniho is going to be carrying out the Dan Paul hammer.
Yeah, and it's going to be exciting for him because, you know, maybe he didn't get off to the perfect start to the season, but week by week he's really improved, and they ask him to do quite a bit. He has to play cornerback, he has to play nickel, he always shines on special teams, and that was really on full display in the Colorado State game, coming in with a blocked field goal. But even with the recent surge of success he's found, he's still got big things planned ahead.
Yeah, I have a lot to work on. I mean, I made some plays out there, but still have a lot to work on, and there's a lot of things I can correct. We know what we can do, and we're hitting on all cylinders, so the biggest thing is just being consistent and doing that every play.
And we're excited for Nohe to build off of that and to have, you know, a strong second half of the season. Again, you talk about a tremendous young man who is very smart and who cares. I'm very excited for him.
So we'll bring you back live on the field as the guys continue to get warmed up for this thing. How about the uniform combination the guys are going with today? All orange on the blue. What do you think, Brady, as we give Bronco Nation a little sneak peek at this getup here as the Broncos start to get ready for this game?
Well, you know, I think I've been vocal. I always love the solid color. Well, it's all, whether it's all blue, all white, all black, or all orange. But of course, Halloween a couple days from now, it's festive. Yeah. And I like the look. I know Justin Core, our fashion reporter, or whatever title he made up for himself, called these a C-. I think he's never gotten it right this whole year, so I like him. He can try again next week.
Are you going to post that on Instagram?
Yeah, I might. Let me see if I can find my scarf.
Right? Oh, too funny. I will say this, though. Did you see, I don't know if you saw a member of Bronco Nation, they had like kind of a mock uniform that I've never seen before. It was their all-black uniform with an orange helmet and the orange face mask. Ooh. For Halloween, that might be kind of a cool get up.
The jack-o'-lantern look.
Maybe they're kind of saving it for another year. I can only hope. Okay, here is a look at your updated Mountain West Conference standings. Sure, Boise State's record overall isn't where you want it, but in conference play, they are 2-1, and technically they do control their path to playing for a Mountain West Conference championship still. Boise State now will attempt to battle back from a heartbreaking defeat that really rocked the program in Fort Collins 2 weeks ago. As painful as it might be, here are the sights and sounds of how that game went in Fort Collins. This is a game I think fans really appreciate because Colorado State fans aren't the friendliest to Boise State fans at times. Come on. But man, do the Broncos have tons of bragging rights over Colorado State. When you look at this all-time series between Boise State and Colorado State, the Rams still got that goose egg in the win column. The Broncos undefeated all-time against Colorado State. They're going to try to keep it that way, and I am sure that there's going to be plenty of motivation to keep it that way.
Clydesdales are in. That means a lot of defensive linemen to give them some beef in there. Gums in front of Genty. Gums clears it out, and Genty walks into the end zone untouched. And Boise State, with 9:03 to go in the first quarter, marches it right down and scores 6-0 Boise State. Go to the run. Genty untouched to midfield. Tacklers trying to knock him down. They can't. He spins, gets inside the 35 down to the 34-yard line. And another huge run for Genty, 23 yards. Green, Genty, right side to the corner, untouched. Second touchdown of the game for Ashton Genty. 14th touchdown of the season, and it's 13-0 Boise State. Green hands it to Genty, left side. Genty to the 15, to the 20, cuts back to the middle of the field, to the 30, to the 35, to the 40. 27 yards for Genty. Movement, I don't see any flags going. Now some flags go, and Madsen hits the pass inside the 40 to McAllister. That'll be his second catch of the game. I think the Rams were offsides, and Boise State took advantage. Ferguson Reynolds to hold. Dalmas's kick is up, and Dalmas's kick is good. The score goes to the Broncos 17, and the Rams with nothing. Broncos moving some of their players defensively around. Fowler Nicolosi throwing it long left side. It's knocked away. Shea Oladipo with a tremendous pass deflection, and Boise State will get the third down stop. Cobb's back in motion to the left, and it's a handoff to Genty, and Genty's going to go into the end zone, and it is a hat trick. 3 touchdowns for Ashton Genty.
Colorado State trying to score here, and they do. Dylan Goffney in for the touch. With under 2 minutes to go, it's a 1-score game. Here's the onside kick, bouncing around. Colorado State has a shot, and they get it. The Rams are alive on homecoming, ladies and gentlemen. Colorado State looking for their first win ever against Boise State. One final shot. Fowler Nicolosi chucking it into the end zone. Everybody is there. Is it caught? Is it caught? Colorado State. Dallin Holker makes the catch. It's a miracle in Fort Collins.
I mean, we always talk about how it's all about us, and it's tough looking some of these guys in the eye knowing that we didn't do as much as we could. And it's tough heading back to Bronco Nation like that, too. I know it's a community that cares a lot about this team, and we care a lot about the community. And behind closed doors, I know we put a lot of work in, and we're intentional, we care about each other, and it's just frustrating. I mean, all I can say is sorry. I feel bad for the guys that didn't play tonight. I feel bad for Bronco Nation. I feel bad for the families that traveled out here. And all we can do is just move on. Next week we'll self-scout. We'll get it figured out. We care about each other a lot, and we'll get it figured out.
I tell you, in all my time of covering the Boise State football team, I don't know if I remember, excuse me, a player as emotional following a game as Marco Notriani.
You know, and I think it really is the example. You know, the fans, obviously, they're really passionate. They really care. Nobody cares more than the guys standing behind us, the players who are playing the game. Nobody wants to win more or be successful more than those guys. And I think that Marco serves as a great example of that. He gives everything he has.
I was almost getting choked up over that with her, Brady. Obviously a moving interview there by Marco Notriani. Leads the team with 52 tackles, also has 4.5 tackles for loss this season. I want to take you back out live to the field. We're live, field level, and as you can see, Taylon Green warming up. The significance of this is it looks like Mason Randolph is snapping to him, and what that means is that Mason Randolph is probably going to be the starting center today for the Boise State football team. The significance of that is that Garrett Curran is also expected to play today. And when the season started, Mason Randolph was going to be the starting center until he got hurt. Garrett Curran took over that role, but now that everybody's healthy, they've had a bye week to sort everything out, you're going to see those guys flip. So Mason Randolph back at starting center. Garrett Curran is going to make his first start this season not at center for the Boise State football team. That's a really talented unit. We're going to have more on them coming up in just a little bit here, but we are talking about those quarterbacks too, Brady. Once again, Andy Avalos and company going with the 2-quarterback system. Yeah,
this is officially week 3 of the 2-quarterback system, although you could argue we've kind of seen it earlier with Memphis and even the UCF game. It's been a polarizing move.
In my time, again, of covering Boise State, I never remember a topic or a decision that the fans seem to be so on one side with, while Coach Avalos and internally they just believe that the 2-quarterback system is the route to go. I asked Bronco Nation with a poll earlier today on Twitter, which what do they want to see? And a majority of them said at least 75% of the snaps should go to Taylen Green. After that, the next highest percentage, just go with one quarterback, regardless of who it is. So we'll see what this ends up playing out with. Either way, the Broncos have to achieve a better rhythm, something they spent working on during the bye week, and that is our roadmap to victory today for Boise State.
Bronco Roundup's Roadmap to Victory is sponsored by Treasure Valley Ford Stores.
No, I think Taylen's our starter. I think everyone in the building knows that. I think the toughest part is just when you look at our second and long, third down efficiency percentage, in a lot of those situations, we're operating about 20% higher than we were earlier in the year.
It's the facts. Since we've been doing it, the numbers have been better on offense. We're very fortunate that we got two very talented guys. Now we have to have a better consistency and find our balance within that. Ultimately, as we've talked about, it's about getting our whole offense in rhythm, and that will be the main focus.
I totally get it. Trust me, I do. I mean, I understand what everybody wants it to be. Really, I think the number one thing is pinpointing how we're going to get that rhythm, right? If you look at what did we do versus San Jose State that made us look in rhythm versus Colorado State, even the point production was there, but maybe we didn't feel as much in rhythm. Was it totally about the quarterback situation? Was it just about the overall execution? Was it about turning the football over? That's what I think we all have got to do a great job of, is what exactly is it? Is there a perfect distribution in our minds? I would say Taylen would certainly be out there 60 to 65% of the time. The nature of it, as I know you guys understand, is we also have to make sure we're not having issues of who's in the game, who's not in the game, taking delay of penalties, right? And so part of that for us is certain situations, Taylen's been in the game, and when down and distances are different, when field positions are different, that's when we've kind of got to Maddox. So in a lot of ways, the distribution, has a lot to do with what situations we're in the game. When we're in a 2-minute situation, for example, Maddox has been in there, and then that looks at, okay, you have a long drive, that's 12 more plays. Is that really what we set out for? Maybe not, but based off of those situations, that has a lot to do with who's out there more. We think there's parts of Taylen's game and his explosiveness in the run game to come in versus San Jose and have those multiple touchdowns, and then what Maddox has done in those longer situations where normally some of your percentages are closer to 15%, and we're executing on third downs and fourth downs. So pinpointing exactly what it is it the two quarterbacks, rhythm, not rhythm? That's what we got to figure out.
So here's a look at the quarterback comparison. This is just from the last 2 games when Boise State has been rolling with this rotating quarterback approach. As you can see, both quarterbacks in the upper 50s when it comes to completion percentage. You can see that Maddox Madsen has quite the advantage when it comes to passing yards, 265 to 103. A big reason for that, though, is Maddox has attempted twice as many passes as Taylen Green has in that time. The quarterback efficiency rating is below the standard of what you would want out of your starting quarterback, regardless of who's under center. Maddox Madsen at 126, Taylen Green at 118. Either way, what you would really like to see is that touchdown to interception ratio start to come up as well. They're basically in the negative when it comes to that. So we'll see what happens, but there is some legitimacy to what the coaches have been saying about third down. Maddox Madsen leads the Mountain West Conference with a 173.9 quarterback efficiency rating on third down. Meanwhile, Taylen Green ranks 11th out of 12 qualified quarterbacks in that statistic at just 96 when it comes to his quarterback efficiency rating. So we'll see how they balance it out. I will add to this, though. If Taylen Green wants to see the field, he's usually the guy that's on the field to start drives. He has to be more productive so they don't get behind the chains, because when that happens, that's when Maddox Madsen goes in, the more the passing threat, if you will, that can bail them out of certain situations, Brady.
That's true, and it's been interesting to watch because at this point of the season, it doesn't feel like there's necessarily a right thing to do at this point. Obviously, the fans really loved watching what Taylen Green did last year. He was their guy. He helped turn this season around last year, and we talked the entire offseason about how in-game reps were going to be the most important thing for Taylen's development. I understand it's disappointing to see half of that get taken away now. You also can't discredit, though, how great Maddox Madsen has been given his opportunities, especially as a redshirt freshman.
That's a topic that gets lost in this. The only reason that they are having this two-quarterback approach is the fact that Maddox Madsen has been exceeding expectations. That being said, a year ago, Talon Green was being compared to the likes of a guy like Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. Let me explain. As a freshman, he had over 10 passing touchdowns and over 10 rushing touchdowns. The last FBS freshman QBs to do that, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, two guys that are now starting in the NFL. A year removed from that, Talon is battling for his starting job. So if you don't love the development there, we'll see if they can continue to progress and move forward. We got some injury news that we want to share with you really quick. Boise State going to be really thin at the edge position today. No Dimitri Washington, no Cortez Hogans. I would expect Gabe Hunter to see his first significant playing time of the season today. A backup at that edge spot that's been working back from an injury. Sources say that he's really close to starting to contribute again. Today might be the day he has to contribute, Brady.
You know, funny enough, the last time they wore the orange jerseys, Gabe Hunter had a pretty important red zone interception. Kind of spearheaded what was a good rest of the season for him, though we didn't really see much of him so far this year.
Yeah, the guys continuing to warm up on the blue. George Halani expected to be back in the action. Boise State also without Tyler Wegas today, a reserve defensive lineman. So a little banged up. They're supposed to be healthier. Jaden Virgin is going to probably make his first start today. Daishawn Misa, Hunter Misa, if you will, won't play today. The same goes for Markel Reed. So the Broncos continue to be thin at that cornerback position. That really hurt them in the Colorado State game. Had to play some young guys. That also helped the Rams get back into the game. Some guys at that position are going to have to grow up in a hurry. The Broncos continuing to warm up on the field. Alexander Tubner battling through some injuries. He is healthy again. He actually left last week's game early. He was ejected. I thought it was a really weird scenario, Brady. This is a kid that in his previous 20 games picked up one penalty of any kind in a span of 53 seconds. 2 weeks ago at Colorado State, he picks up 2 personal fouls and ends up getting ejected. Really weird in my opinion, but he's back today looking to contribute for the Boise State football team.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was really weird probably for you guys out in the field. It was just as weird and confusing on TV, and especially that first one. I mean, that was just him being a good teammate, trying to take care of his guys. Seemed uncharacteristic, maybe got a bad deal there, but I know something like that makes you a little hungry to come out the next time you get an opportunity.
I tell you, Alexander had a monster hit last game. So big that it broke his helmet. It literally cracked across the top of it. And I asked him about it this week. It's funny because I thought it was a negative thing. He said that, that the helmet actually probably is supposed to break once it has a certain force to it. So in a way, it actually is protecting these players, which I didn't. It was interesting to hear that. Andy Avalos later shared with us that it was an $800 helmet. Alexander Tubner wears some special technology when it comes to that, and so an $800 helmet that the Broncos will have to replace.
That's good. That's good money spent.
Right? Hey, we continue to count down to kickoff. Only 35 minutes to go. Coming up in just a moment, Dr. Marlene Trop is going to join us here on Bronco Roundup Game Day. Dr. Marlene Tromp joining us here on the Bronco Roundup Game Day show. And some cool news kind of quietly kicked off last night. A major fundraising campaign for the university looking to fundraise upwards of $500 million. And it's so funny because we're all just finding out about this, but you guys have apparently been hard behind the scenes at work. $295 million of the $500 million that you want by 2028 already accounted for. How fun has this been for you to work on, Marlene?
It's so exciting because really what it's about is it's about our students, it's about our amazing faculty, and my goal is that no Idaho student would ever be unable to come to Boise State because of financial need, and I think that's amazing. And the faculty support is to help our faculty do this path-breaking research and to have the opportunity to bring students into their labs and the archives and their studios, and the opportunity to uplift and elevate our athletics program, which is our front porch for the university. So it's just really exciting, and being able to work on it and know this was coming, to be able to come out with that exciting announcement has been a real thrill.
I know that we're all going to find out more about this in the days to come. I was talking with Mountain West Commissioner Gloria Navarez. She was at the event last night. She actually gave us a couple of details. She said that there were 3 pillars to this fundraising campaign. What are they? I believe that athletics is one of them.
Yes, those are the 3 pillars. Student access and success, so that's about those student scholarships. Relentless faculty innovation, so that's about those endowed professorships. And then making us ready for what's next in athletics.
When it comes to athletics, Marlene, what would that money go to? Has that been determined yet? Will it be determined at a later date once it's all fundraised?
We know that we need to do some work on facilities, so we know that's part of it. But we're really dedicated to the whole student-athlete experience. So it's about making sure that these amazing young people who are on our teams are getting the full and best experience they can have as student-athletes. And you know, we're really proud. When I was on the sidelines of a certain game a few years ago, I had 2 NFL recruiters come up to me. And they said, "Are you the president?" And the first thing they said is like, "What are you doing here?" And then they said, "You know, we love to recruit Broncos." And I said, "Well, why is that?" And they said, "Because your student athletes have such character and they're such amazing people." And I feel that way about every sport in which we compete. We just have amazing people on our teams. So giving them that great experience actually helps all of our students have an amazing experience.
So it's a really ambitious goal, which is great to see. But from what we understand, it's already gotten off to a great start. A lot of donors already. How has the response been from these alumni, and how encouraging has that been to see?
It's so exciting. We actually have had 50,000 individual donors already contribute to this campaign. That's what's made that $295 million. So there's so much enthusiasm and excitement. And when people saw the campaign pillars and understood like what we're driving towards, they see it, they get it. They are so excited about having a chance to be a part of investing in the future of this university and the future of our state.
That's incredible. Are you more impressed by the $295 million already raised, or by the fact that 50,000 people want to be a part of this effort?
Right. Oh, it's going to be even more. Yeah. It will be even more, Jay. We will see more and more people. And in fact, you know, the fact that we're on, the national and international stage, you know, I was at the G7 summit this summer. People see where this university is going, and they're excited to invest. And they know that it's good for the young people who come to school here, or the people who return to school here who are adults, and they know it's good for the future of the state. So the investment is something people want to make, because we're like a rocket ship, and they want to be a part of it.
As much as you can say, how long have you guys been organizing behind the scenes this capital campaign? I know it's been a goal and a mission for quite some time. And again, we're all just finding out today, but it has been something that has been in the works.
Since the day I set foot on this campus. Because my goal has been, since the day I arrived, how do I make sure that students like I was don't have a financial barrier? I worked 3 jobs when I was in school, the whole time, at the same time, while I was going to school full time. And what I want to do is make sure that young people who are talented, we have so many talented people in this state, that they don't have to face a barrier and not be able to go to school.
It's a cool mission, a cool message. Dr. Trump, before we let you go, I want to ask you about the game day atmosphere. It is so interesting. When we talk with the Boise State football players, they love to talk about Bronco Nation and the support. But I got to tell you, after the San Jose State game, you could almost see the light in their eyes, because it has gone to another level. Whether it be the lights, the new scoreboard, just the efforts to get people into this stadium. How impressed are you by the response from Bronco Nation and your athletic administration staff?
I have to tell you, I love Bronco Nation, and I am so proud of our athletics staff. They've done such an incredible job. And Bronco Nation really is special. They're special. You know, I went to school at the University of Florida for part of my schooling. You know, I've seen what big football looks like and what the fan base is like. This is a special community of people who love this city love this team and love what these players stand for, that blue-collar work ethic, that creativity and scrappiness, and that's what our athletics program has done too.
Clearly it starts at the top, Dr. Trump. We appreciate you joining us on Bronco Roundup Game Day. We look forward to continuing to talk with you and find out more about this massive fundraising effort by Boise State. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here.
All right, go enjoy the game, Dr. Trump. We'll give you a live look at the field. Again, we're counting down to kickoff. 29 minutes to go before Boise State will take the field against Colorado State and take on this Wyoming Cowboy team that is ready for battle today against the Broncos.
It was cool. It was loud. I mean, you got all those like aluminum stands up in there, so it feels like almost everything's kind of coming down and echoing on you and stuff like that.
In 2018, it was loud. The fans there get a little crazy, you know. It was cold too, so.
And now let's welcome to the field.
I think all the Mountain West schools have pretty good stadiums and environments, but Boise's definitely one of those. It's like, got to practice our silent count because they can get loud. So.
It's a fun place to play, you know. Growing up, you know, you play like NCAA or whatever, and you see the blue turf, so it's a cool spot for sure.
So I know we're talking about attendance right now, and we just heard from Dr. Marlene Trump about it, but Boise State trending maybe towards another sellout today. As of this morning, they sat at 35,000 tickets out for this contest. That's about 1,300 shy of a sellout. Overall this season, if you look at those first three games combined though, Brady, the Broncos at 100.35% capacity. That ranks 20th in all of college football. Yes, you heard me correct. The Broncos above capacity through their first three games. That is an impressive accomplishment by this athletic administration staff.
And the last time we were at home, I mean, we've talked about it plenty already, but that San Jose State atmosphere was
awesome.
Incredible. Yep. Unlike anything I've ever seen in my short time covering Boise State. I don't know how it compares to you in your long tenure here, but the second biggest crowd that they've ever had here, and definitely one of the most raucous atmospheres, one of the loudest ambience we've seen the entire time. It was incredible.
I know we're going to talk about Wyoming's talented linebacker Easton Gibbs coming up here in just a second, one of the best in the country. But I do want to take you down as Boise State is beginning to wrap up their pregame warm-ups, because this is where we kind of find out some important details about who we can expect is going to play today. It looks like Jaden Virgin is going to get that start at that edge position with a couple of guys out, namely Dimitri Washington. Marco Notriani is playing with that #1 defense at the moment, so I would expect him to start over DJ Schramm. How about Gabe Hunter also taking some reps right now? We haven't seen a ton of him this season. He has been hurt, but working his way back. And with some edge depth issues today with guys out due to injuries, I would expect Gabe Hunter, number 54, to see some big-time playing time this afternoon. As we continue to rotate through the offense, we're going to see this #1 offense come out here in just a second. And finally, as we hit week 9 and game number 8, we are actually going to see Boise State use the offensive lineup up front that they intended to. What I mean by that is Cage Casey's going to start at left tackle. Ben Dooley's going to start at left guard. You're going to have Mason Randolph snapping in the middle of that unit at center. Garrett Curran is going to line up at right guard, and then at right tackle you will have Cade Beresford. That group has played so well this season, Brady. It's crazy to think that maybe the best is still yet to come now that they're finally healthy.
And it really is impressive how well they played this season, because one of the storylines in the preseason, we were a little worried about the offensive line and what they were going to look like. And despite that, they've had guys having to switch positions. They've had to have freshmen come in and start games on the O-line. No matter what the situation is, they really haven't missed a beat.
Yeah.
And that's because of the depth that they have and the competition they get out of practice.
So Taylor Green will be your starting quarterback yet again, as he is running with the #1 offense here to begin things as we get a little closer to the end of warm-ups. You saw George Halani out there also operating with the second string offense, so it will be the Ashton Genty show for the most part. It'll be interesting to see the usage of George Halani. I would expect limited snaps, limited carries, but limited is better than nothing, Brady.
Do you think he's going to return punts, though?
I don't know if that's going to be on the table right now, but
maybe they wait a little bit?
Maybe in the weeks to come. We'll have to wait and see that one out. Again, warm-ups just starting to wrap up. The Boise State football team 24 minutes away from kickoff against Wyoming. The Broncos trying to climb back to 500 on the season. Okay, now we go look at the quote-unquote bad guys. They have a bad dude in the middle of their defense at number 28, Easton Gibbs.
That's right, and it's kind of been the norm for the Wyoming Cowboys. Year in and year out, they boast one of the top defenses in the Mountain West. Typically, it all starts at linebacker. You might remember Chad Muma and Logan Wilson. They're currently playing in the NFL, and a moment ago you heard from Easton Gibbs, the Mountain West preseason Defensive Player of the Year. He might be playing on Sundays in the near future. The junior ranked 6th in the Mountain West with 63 tackles on the season. He's also added a pair of forced fumbles as Boise State prepares to match up with what might be the toughest front seven that they face in conference play. He's the guy they've singled out as the heartbeat of the Wyoming defense and someone that could cause some problems for them as they kick off today.
Well, number one, they played a lot of football, right? Shoot, Easton's been there for a long time, been a very productive player throughout the course of his career. He is the leader of that defense. He does a lot of things very well.
And he's wickedly smart. He's aggressive. He's had a lot of opportunity to play, and he certainly is going to have an impact on our football team this year. And we have high expectations of him.
He's just a physical dude, and he flies around. And you watch him on the field, he's just sideline to sideline. He's everywhere, and he does a really good job of doing his role within that defense. He's a really disciplined player, and when he has to make a tackle or play on the ball, he does a good job at that. So, like I said, it's going to be a really good challenge, and he's an all-around good dude, too, so it'll be fun to go against him.
Welcome back live to the blue. Yeah, something that's kind of cool is going on, the blue chaos flag. How about Kyle Wilson, the former first-round pick, is going to raise that thing. Before that happens, though, I know we're going to be joined by yet another live interview in just a second here. Jeremiah Dickey making the rounds. We're going to welcome him on the show right now.
He wants to come.
I know, you're the most popular man in Boise on game
ready
day,
to jump
Jeremiah.
in at any time.
We already talked with Dr. Marlene Trump a little bit about it, but big news for you guys.
Yeah.
I will say finally kicking off your capital campaign. I only say finally because I know that you guys have been putting in so much work behind the scenes on this thing.
We have, and honestly, I felt bad because I can't say enough about Matthew Ewing, and hopefully you all spoke about him. He's one of the best in the industry and one of the best I've ever worked with. But I felt bad because we were well out in front of this. So we've been in this campaign for a while now, and that's a testament to them trusting me and Bronco Nation stepping up, and so we've hit the ground running, and I'm pumped now that we can publicize things and really push this thing forward.
I want to get your reaction to some of the stuff that we learned from Dr. Trump. $295 million into this $500 million mission already that you want completed by 2028. What is more impressive, the fact that you have already hit $295 million or the fact that 50,000 individual donors want to be a part of this mission at Boise State?
Honestly, all of the above, and I think it's something that you should always be in a campaign, in my opinion, and this is launching us into this, next 5 to 10 year period, and to have that many people in the Treasure Valley and beyond support us, and that dollar amount, it shows you what's possible. And quite honestly, I'm already looking at the next campaign because I have no doubt we're going to blow this one out of the water.
Of course you are.
Of course.
We heard the presentation was a lot of fun last night. How much fun has it been for you to connect with these donors, these alumni who are passionate about Boise State University, both in terms of academics and athletics, and connect with them and get them to be part of this mission?
One, I come from the fundraising side, and I love our team, I love our community, and relationships are important. And so to have that many people there to kick this off and to provide me the opportunity to connect with our most loyal, it means a lot to me. I mean, this is a people business, and relationships matter, and that's something that is always going to be consistent with me.
Well, talking with Dr. Trump, she mentioned facilities as part of what, the money that athletics race could go towards. What is your vision? As much as you could say, we have seen some grand visions out of you, Jeremiah, whether it be the stadium renovation project, the Athletes Village. What is on the top of your to-do list?
Still the North End Zone. We got to get that going, and it's in process, which is great. The Ox Gym is in progress. We're having conversations on that front. But both those projects were chunks that we felt comfortable biting off that we're going to domino into the east side of the stadium and the extra mile in general. We need more premium space. We need better concourses. We need better fan experience, especially on the east side and especially in the guts of extra mile. So I fully expect us to knock out both the north end zone and Ox, and it's going to domino into those others. And I would expect prior to the end of this campaign, we're starting on those.
When you go around the Mountain West Conference this year, you have visited and toured the new stadium at San Diego State, the same with the stadium in Fort Collins. I know that you guys have nice facilities here, but how badly do you need to continue to push forward?
Oh, it's a priority. We have to, because we know it impacts our how we compete. It impacts recruiting. It impacts our staff. It matters. It impacts our fan base, right? And I would be doing everyone a disservice if I didn't live out in action that everything counts, everything matters. And my job is to go and create the vision, provide the direction, and go out and do it. And that's what we're doing. And so looking at something like San Diego State, that would kill here. Now, can we raise $300+ million, and how long would that take? So we're choosing to bite off these chunks that will domino into the rest of the facility to create something epic.
As you take a look at the atmosphere, I mean, we see the fans piling in right now. Last time we were out on the blue, an insane atmosphere for the San Jose State game. The players talked about how much it meant to have that raucous atmosphere. It was all over social media, every fan talking about how great it was. What's it like for you and your staff to get to realize what this could look like and see all that hard work pay off?
It's everything. I mean, I said it 3 years ago, almost to the day, coming up in January, that these are the expectations, and to see Bronco Nation meet those expectations. And I understand that people are frustrated, and rightfully so. We're disappointed too. But the fact is, they show up, and they continue to support us, and they are having an impact on outcomes in games, and that's awesome. That's what you want as an athletic director and a leader of a fan base like this. You want them to know that it matters. And I can't say enough. I mean, we have 35,000 plus tickets out. I know we're top 20 in attendance from a capacity standpoint. I said 6 games, 6 sellouts. That's what we can control, and Bronco Nation is stepping up, and I can't thank them enough. And also our students. Our students have been unbelievable.
I know you're kind of an open book, Jeremiah. You know, you look at the football team's success right now. They sit at 3-4, and I know that the standard here, well, that's not quite meeting the standard. What is your take on how the football season has gone so far, and how do you support it moving forward?
Yeah, I think I've spoken to it in Andy, and very similar to some of the comments that we've already made publicly. We understand what the expectations are. We understand what the standard is. That's why I'm here, and so I embrace it. And yes, I know people are disappointed, but our work and our work ethic and our process is consistent, and we continue to show up, and I promise you there's a light at the end of this tunnel.
Well, we certainly see that with you still packing the stadium. Near capacity, once again, over 35,000 as of this morning. Really quick, more nervous for this game, Jeremiah, or your kids' game this morning? How did it go?
More nervous for this game. You know, my kids' game, I can still be a fan and support, but you know, quite honestly, I'm not nervous, man. I've seen them at practice. I'm in the locker room. You know, our team is ready, and I believe that, and I'm always going to believe that. And it's a 1-0 mentality, and I'm pumped for this game to start.
Jeremiah, we appreciate you joining us on Bronco Roundup Game Day. We'll turn you loose. And with that, we are going to put a bow on this show. It has been a fun, long day, but we have finally arrived just 15 minutes from kickoff. Time to finish this thing up. Excited to see if Boise State can get a win today. We talk about keys to the game, the turnover battle, you know, taking a step forward as a defense and playing with confidence. We saw stretches in the last 2 games that this defense can make progress. They have to do it again. And then finally, I mentioned it earlier on the show, I want to see Jonah Dalmas set a school record today. He's 2 field goals away from the career mark here at Boise State.
Yeah, and if he gets the opportunities, you got to feel confident he's going to knock them through.
Yep, I agree with you. Okay, coming up after the game, we will have our live post-game show. You're going to hear from Andy Avalos and the players. We'll have some highlights. And then tonight on a special edition of the News at 10, which will air at 9. Again, full highlights and reaction from the game tonight between Boise State and Wyoming. We appreciate you watching, everybody. This is Bronco Roundup Game Day. We've been giving you that exclusive look at the blue. We'll see how this one turns out and if the Broncos can get this thing headed back in the right direction. For Brady, Frederick, I'm Jay Tust. Thanks for watching and enjoy Game Day.